Yay!
Chris, you want to just lead us right in? This is going to be the least professional thing we've done in a long time.
that is
At least like a month. The last time we did one of these.
This is the least professional thing I've done in a month.
All right, guys.
So, new logo, new crew. What's up? Tell us about it.
Yeah, we got a new crew. I don't know. I was working through most of the press conference because that's what I do with my life now.
Wait. This happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Damn it.
Oh, Ian, you know.
I missed so
Ian, I've
many
been looking
things.
at it for at least 2 minutes already. Come on.
Yeah.
I've been aware that it happened for all of 2 minutes now.
Oh, and
Yeah.
they're going with SC. Very cool.
Yeah.
We got CCSC now.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's not bad. Is it your crest? Like, are you changing like immediately, like mid-season? Is that allowed?
It's insane. You would have to change all your uniforms. That would cost a fortune.
Okay.
I worked all day today, and I did not see the press conference. So here I am on the podcast dropping maybe truth.
Yeah.
Let's
I'll tell you what,
address
though.
that real quick, because by some crazy cosmic coincidence, all of us just simultaneously got ridiculously busy in the last month.
Yeah.
And so, apologies to our
Our
huge amount of listeners, our
Yeah.
giant cohort of folks that have been counting down the days waiting for another slashMLS podcast. The rumors of our demise were greatly exaggerated.
No, they
Well,
they
only
were
slightly.
exaggerated. They were slightly
Yeah.
exaggerated. People were like, "Hey, you haven't done one in a month," and I was like, "Oh yeah, shit, yeah, we should do that." So
But Josh has been writing things for the new website, and that's been
It's true.
exciting.
it's true. I'm finally gonna post my giant ode to Landon Donovan and his
Yes.
career.
You should.
Yeah, which will be exciting. So if you haven't checked it out, it's at slashMLS.com. No, slashMLSpod. Now maybe I should have prepared a little more. slashMLS.com. There we go.
Yes.
There we go. I'm like, hey, what was the name of the website which I registered and made? Like, that's a sign of how busy I've been.
Yeah, to figure this out.
So I'm excited. I'm excited for the new crew. Like, it actually, like the new crest looks good enough that I could see myself picking up. Were I in a black and yellow mood, normally you would go Borussia Dortmund, but hey, now you've got the crew and it's a good looking jersey.
Also, we got Kai Kamara to wear it. Can we talk about that for a second, too?
Yeah.
Striker on the team? It's been a while.
Yeah, like an actual guy whose primary job is to hang out near the opposing team center backs and put the goal in the back of the net. So what does that make you think of the crew's playoff chances and what they'll
Hey guys, I've been working a lot.
Yeah.
Now, I think our chances of making the playoffs are still pretty good. I think it's going to depend on how we come out. Of course, a win against New York would be really, really solid, but that's going to be hard. That's going to be a hard one. They're in the playoffs. So I think I give us like a 40-60 chance of making the playoffs right now. But we'll see what happens. We got 2 against Philly and 1 against New York. That's our road ahead. Anybody else be able to answer? But I haven't done any research because that's where I'm at.
I don't know, but something just weird happened to my phone. So they make you go through a lot more steps now to do Hangouts on air for some reason that I don't understand. And I just got a notification on my phone saying some random person named W. Rudy said no to slashMLS October 8th. And I'm like, what? Why? But anyway.
They actually do an application every time anybody does not join. Anybody from work.
am I the only one having a hard time hearing Chris, or is that?
I am also having a hard time hearing Chris.
Chris, we can't hear you that good.
I'll just go to sleep, man.
Are you on your phone data, Chris? It looks like you're moving around a lot.
I'm on Wi-Fi. It should be all right.
Well, that was crystal clear.
Yeah, now you sound good.
Try to finish.
Yeah, keep spinning in circles. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Give us the friggin' the Titanic view. It'll work out.
Oh, that's nice.
Hey, have you guys watched any soccer in the last month?
Yeah. I've been watching all kinds of soccer.
I finally bought MLS Live.
Oh, wow.
Now that the season's over.
Yeah, good.
Perfect.
Stellar timing. So, just out of curiosity, did anything that Chris said make it into the recording? Because, honestly, I couldn't really understand him.
I'll tell you once I listen to the recording.
Okay, cool.
I was afraid that it might have been my recording, so I'm glad that it wasn't just me. So, yeah, I think what we'll get out of him is essentially he believes the Crew have a decent shot at the playoffs, and they need a win this week.
Yeah.
I think was the,
he said
pretty much what I heard.
He said 60-40 or 40-60, so either he's pessimistic or optimistic.
Yeah, but mildly in either case. He's not, wildly pessimistic or optimistic.
I think that's a fair assessment of the situation. I mean, it's the Crew and Toronto for that fifth spot, and
and Philly's in there as well. Houston's not that far out of it.
I'm not
Houston's
convinced.
I thought Houston was eliminated this weekend if they lose.
They just beat Toronto, though.
Oh, tonight.
So,
I wasn't. See,
yeah.
I've been working. I literally know nothing about today's games.
Yeah. So looking at the East, the West is, with the exception of Portland and Vancouver, the West is sorted in terms of who's going, and the East is, DC's going, and then
which is sorted.
What? What do you mean? Which is sorted? Well, that Seattle, LA,
or SORDID.
Oh, but yeah. Both. Yes, the West is just filthy with, the legal weed and the gay marriage and
the sexy goals of the week.
Yeah. No, it's sorted out. It is largely set, and the East is DC is probably going to be first unless something catastrophic happens, but then who's going to be 2 through 5 is, really up in the air.
Well,
New
England's going to be 2.
Yeah,
probably.
Are you sure? Probably, but
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to really hate playing them in the conference finals.
Yeah. That's pretty optimistic, thinking that you'll get past the quarterfinals.
I love the parity in this league, because if you'd told me right after, KC won the championship that they were going to end up not being a top 2 seed in the East, that would have just seemed crazy. They were just perfect last year.
Yeah, but they've fallen victim to the thing that teams in this league fall victim to, which is most teams generally aren't that deep. KC was one of the deeper teams, but they just had a really bad run of injuries and just couldn't seem to get it together after that. So, but yeah, I'm really curious to see what happens in the East.
There's that, and there's the notion that, and this happens. I feel like this does happen every 4 years, where there are definitely tired people that play for Kansas City right now, and they're just ready to have a break. Zusi and Beasler in particular. Beasler just looks like an average MLS center back right now.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
And it's interesting because center back is normally not the position where you're doing so much running that you're going to be really tired out. But when you play a really aggressive press like KC does, that's where you really see the need for a lot of movement on that back line, and it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. So there's the playoff stuff.
Oh, hey, okay. So I'm reading just random headlines on MLSsoccer.com.
Oh, good.
And
I like it when you when you really call out how poorly prepared we are. That's great. Makes me feel good.
So do you guys remember? I think someone on this podcast said that Bill Hamid is the best goalie in MLS right now. I don't know who
Yeah,
it
I'm gonna
was,
take a wild guess that I bet I knew who it was.
but how good does that bold prediction look right now? Because we never go back to those. But yeah, just saying, not to brag.
Yeah, no, we've gone back and forth, and you admitted that according to Klinsmann, Hamid was not better, and he has looked spectacular. He's having a career year for sure.
Yeah.
I would like to steal him from you, if that's all right.
No, that's not all right.
We could certainly use and this is going to be sad to say, but we could use a top 15 keeper right now.
You sure Stephen Fry isn't that guy right now? You don't think so?
I mean, he's not horrible.
15?
He's not horrible.
He's borderline. He's definitely bottom.
Yeah.
Well, there's only
No, he makes some spectacular saves a few times a month, but he makes some boneheaded mistakes, man. The savable goals let in, is definitely a factor. And honestly, more importantly, I'll even let him slide for that. Is maybe the Sounders fan. I have been used to a very vocal field marshal type of keeper, and he is not that. And when we're having backline issues, we've got center backs that are, not performing like they should, and you've got rotational issues, like having a keeper that's really talking and keeping people, in line is valuable, and Fry is not that guy.
And the thing that would concern me as a Seattle fan is you're playing against LA 4 times, twice for the Supporter Shield and twice for the MLS Cup. And,
oh, really? I hadn't heard that. That's news to me. Actually, as somebody on Sounder at Heart commented, they said Seattle's regular season has already ended because on Friday we have a single game elimination for the Cascadia Cup, and then we follow that by a home and shield, and then we go into the MLS Cup playoffs. So every single game from here on out is dramatically important to this team. Because, by the way, in the last month since we recorded the podcast, we did win that first treble trophy of the Open Cup. So a little pat on the back for that. We'll move on. But it's I'm so much more scared by the end of the year than I would have been a few months ago because our backline issues are just horrific. Like, I don't know that we can go into LA and just try to score more goals than them, which is kind of how we've been winning up to this point.
Yeah, you're going to have a tough time with that, especially because, I mean, since we last recorded the podcast, LA's goal difference went from plus 10 to plus 100,000. So it's
pretty much.
Yeah, LA has been. I mean, they have also been helped by playing some teams who just don't give a shit about anything. And I'm thinking about Colorado in particular, who just seem to have completely given up the idea that they could even tie a game, much less actually win one.
Right.
So they definitely padded out by beating the stuffing out of them and out of Chivas and out of a couple other teams, but they look so scary going forward that, and that's the thing. It's, you go beat Colorado that badly, it doesn't mean that it's just you just got lucky that one time. I mean, that is a team that's really, really flying. And yeah, it'll be fun to see what they do in the playoffs for sure. I think it'll be really good playoffs. I think Dallas it's interesting. Dallas really flies sometimes, and then they just dropped a game to Vancouver. Same thing with RSL. RSL also dropped a game to Vancouver. Both of those are really tough.
And
teams.
to Chivas.
Yeah, and to Chivas. Yeah, so I think it's going to be a really interesting playoff in the West for sure. So we were just talking
this
about
weekend.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I think this weekend is incredibly important. Everybody keeps talking about the last 2 games of the year because of the Shield, but this weekend, in my mind, is a huge swing in both, playoff possibilities as well as the Shield, because LA has to go into Dallas, and Dallas doesn't lose at home very often. And if I remember what I was reading correctly, I feel like LA is missing a couple of stars. I mean, they're missing Landon, right?
Yeah.
And then is Keane also gone on an international?
No, he hasn't played for Ireland in years, many, many years.
I think he's getting called up to a Euro qualifier or something.
Yeah, Keane is still one of the best Irish players that plays soccer right now.
Well, yeah, he's still one of the best players, but I don't think he gets called up for the national team.
Hold on. Let's look.
I could be mistaken, but I thought he hadn't been called up in a little while.
My point is that LA could potentially lose in Dallas, and if they do, I believe that's the only chance the Sounders win the Shield, because then they can go, assuming they beat Vancouver at home on Friday, they can go into LA down by 3 points, get blown out in LA, and be even going up home with a tiebreaker firmly in their pocket. So I think that's a big swing this weekend is, can Seattle get the job done against a Vancouver team that's fighting for points? And does LA drop in Dallas at all? How Vancouver does in Seattle also clearly affects the Portland-Vancouver rivalry for that 5th spot. Like, I think this weekend is one of the biggest swings on the run to the playoffs rather than the last two. At least in the West. I should clarify and say the West.
Keane will represent the Republic of Ireland in Euro 2016 qualifying matches against Gibraltar Saturday and Germany on...
Wow.
Yeah.
So there you go. So LA goes into Dallas without Keane and Donovan.
Yeah. You know, like, no other league is playing fixtures this weekend. There's no Premier League. There's no Germany. I mean, it's fine, but, you know, there's no Germany. There's no Spain, no England, no France, no Italy. You know, like, we've got leagues
all playing in the middle of the season. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little hard on a lot of those teams, because a lot of teams are going to lose players, you know, to friendlies. I mean, Keane's case is different. It's an actual qualifier, but you know, San Jose going into Portland tonight in, 20 minutes is going to be playing without Wondolowski because he's getting ready to go play a friendly. Granted, it's an important friendly for a variety of reasons, but it's a friendly, and he's got a match to, I don't know. Who did you just text? I didn't see what that was. Was that me?
No. I'm sorry.
Oh. You're like, thanks for trying, dude. I was like, what am I making that little sense?
No, Chris sent a message just saying he was sorry about his phone and that he has to work again in a few hours.
Oh, okay.
And so he was going to go, and so
yeah. You're like, thanks.
Yeah, Josh. Let's go and move on here. A good attempt at being cohesive, but it just didn't pan out. But...
Yeah. Gonna send you down to the USL podcast. You know,
you got relegated.
Get your legs together.
We can't get promotion relegation in MLS, but we can get it on the fucking podcast.
Yeah, that's. Yeah, we got a good commentator. He's waiting down on the USL team. Let me give him a shot. So yeah. Ian, do you feel like DC is going to hold on to number 1 in the East and that's not in danger? And yeah,
I do.
Yep. Guess what that means?
What?
CONCACAF next year.
Back to back, buddy. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we made the quarters. It was super hard. We had to beat a team from Panama and a team from Jamaica. And, no, it wasn't that hard.
Yeah, no, it actually isn't. It's been crazy watching CONCACAF games because, honestly, I've never really watched them before. And, that Portland game on a cricket pitch in Guyana was crazy. I mean, and, like, those guys, I'm sure that they're better athletes than me, but there is that thing where you watch a top-class athlete and you're like, I could do that. And you're shitting yourself. There's no way. Like, any of us got out on a field with MLS players, we would look like clowns. I swear, watching Alpha United, I was like, I think I would, like, hang. I think, like, aside from being a blonde-haired white guy, I would fit in on that field. Like, my level of skill and fitness would, like, fit in. I would, I could blend. I could pass. I could be on that team. Like, CONCACAF is really, really rough, and I don't Yeah, that's such a strange competition because it's really hard for teams to take it seriously until you start playing the Mexican teams, and then suddenly it's very serious. But like the early rounds of it are, they're like really awful games to watch, and they're fun games to watch because you get to watch your second string score, 7 goals, but they're very bizarre games. And it's something that I was really, I was wondering about watching some of those and looking at how other teams are doing is like, what is this competition going to look like in 5 years? Like, are the group stages of this ever going to be something that's interesting for any reason other than just like goal differential, and like placement so that you can avoid having to play a Mexican team too early on? Like, I would love for it to be a really dynamic competition like the Champions League in Europe, or hell, even like the Europa League, but it's really not.
It was hard to get excited about for some reason. I know, like, I know that we made the quarters. We've never done that. We haven't done that since, like, even when we made the Champions League, winning the quarter shield, we haven't advanced past the group stage. But it's hard to get excited about beating a Panamanian team and beating a Jamaican team, and then like figuring out where you stand and jockeying among all of the American teams that are going to make it through and trying not to hit a Mexican team. It's kind of weird, I guess. Yeah. And it's hard. It's a hard thing to care about when it's a hard thing to care about when the playoffs are looming ever since like July, honestly. And I don't know. I agree. I would like to see. But I don't know how you fix it. Just because our schedule is just different from everybody else's. Like, we can't have this at the beginning of our season because that doesn't make any sense for everybody else, especially not Mexico. And Mexico wins it, so they should get to direct how the scheduling goes. But still,
yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you make it better because the games are coming. The end of the group stages is right at you get crazy fixture congestion, which for large teams like the Mexican teams is not as big of a deal as it is for MLS teams. And you find a lot of teams having to prioritize one over the other, and it's kind of an unfair thing to do when you have small squads like we have.
And for us, that's fine because we're playing Panamanian and Jamaican teams, but for someone like New York, it's not, because they're trying to fight for CONCACAF and the playoffs at the same time, and so Montreal kind of had a leg up. There's like, we'll just worry about CONCACAF, and they did, and they won, and so now they're going to the quarterfinals instead of the, not arguably, the definitely superior New York team. So, that said, it is a thing that people out in Europe have to deal with, and it's something that we should continue to support and whatnot if we want stuff here to be awesome. So
I'm super pumped that the Sounders are back in. Like, that's been something that I know that schedule congestion sucks and all that, but I really, really enjoy being a part of that. Those games are just, like you said, Josh, I know that it's your first experience, but that whole idea of getting CONCACAF and going down and playing on a cricket pitch, and like, I just love it. It's just like the Open Cup to me, like shitty high school fields and all that. Like, I love the level of competition and how that all works.
How weird is it, though, that it's like groups of 3?
It's weird. It's weird because they're with
a single.
Yeah, with a single team advancing out of it. Well, because there's not another competition to bump people to. So that's something like the Libertadores in South America. You get bumped out of that into Sudamericana. In Champions League in Europe, you get bumped down to the Europa League. And but it's interesting. Like, looking at like the Libertadores is. I mean, they have a lot of leagues, a lot of which are very close to each other in financial strength and just the general skill and strength in the league. But that's an awesome competition. I love watching the Libertadores, and it's endlessly fascinating for a lot of the same reasons. I think the thing about CONCACAF that I've been watching it on and off for a while. particularly when there's MLS teams involved, and particularly when it's MLS teams playing Mexican teams. But, you know, the early stage, my complaint is like the early stages of it. You know, they're just, really, there's so, I mean, there's just such a crazy disparity between the teams that it's, you know, I don't know. It feels, it's kind of like watching, you know, the qualifiers for Europe, where you're like, Germany versus Malta. You're like, oh, yeah. I wonder what, I wonder what's gonna happen, you know. You know, and one thing that they're always vetting in Europe, or, you know, some people are trying to get it through, is that you would have like more qualification to make the more pre-qualification for, you know, the Faroe Islands and Malta and you know, really, really small national FAs that don't have the resources to compete with, you know, England, Italy, Germany, France, etc. So I don't know if maybe something similar would make CONCACAF, because if it was just straight up knockout, like right away, that would be way more fun than the group stages. Like, if it was like Portland's going to Guyana and it's a knockout game, you'd just be like, holy shit, I would watch that, you know. I mean, I still watched when they were in Guyana, but I think just straight knockout makes, you know, like just put them all in and go knockout, or have people qualifying a little faster, something. You know,
it gives you an extra sense of like, oh man, this could happen. You know, this Chinese team could pull it off.
Yeah,
that's what that was the format for the CONCACAF Champions Cup before it became the Champions League. That's how DC and LA won their titles.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But didn't that take place over a week in one location? Wasn't that like, it's going to be in DC for the next week, and there's going to be 2 games a day or whatever? Like.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's such a different format. I like, this is more like the Open Cup that Josh is talking about, like all about hosting rights and like having to fly somewhere and being a single game elimination, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a great model for things. I get why they want it to be like the Champions League in Europe or the Libertadores in South America, but we just don't have the leagues to really support that in like a fair and equitable way. So anyway, that's my
and the travel is fucking outrageous by comparison to Europe.
Yeah.
Like,
oh sure. Yeah. I mean,
crazy.
even watching Alpha United, or there was another team that was up at Houston like a year ago or 2 years ago. They had none of their own physios. They basically, it was like the coach was like the only one who could afford to come up. It was like the coach and one assistant. So they had no physios, and you know, they were having to use the other team's physios and stuff. And it was just, you're like, oh man, this is really a strain for these clubs to have to, like, you know, I can't remember where they were from. Maybe it was from El Salvador, but you know, yeah, I mean, that's a real strain on them, and it's. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's fun to watch your team stick 6 past somebody, but if it's not just like a knockout, then it you know you're gonna like go back and do it again.
Well, and the disparity between rounds,
I don't know, it just takes kind of the magic out of it.
Yeah, and the disparity between rounds of sticking 6 on them and then having to go play a Mexican league team who got there by winning the Clausura, you know, like it's tough.
Yeah. I would like to move on for a second, because I was talking about the Libertadores, and that reminds me that over the weekend I watched what I'm going to say is the biggest club match in this hemisphere, which is River Plate and Boca Juniors. And I bring this up because I was watching this game, and Rachel and I were watching together, and she was like, you know, it's epic. And, you know, they kept cutting around all these different, like, cities and provinces, like, way away from Buenos Aires. And there were, like, mobs of fans supporting one team or the other, all gathered around watching it together. And she was like, how come this doesn't happen in MLS? And I was like, you know what? We had a shot at this. Like, I swear, we really had a shot at this. Like, the Galaxy and Chivas was like our shot at having this kind of thing, and like Chivas just fucked it up, and it's a shame, because that was like our one chance to have a derby on the level of intensity of that. Now, granted, LA is not Buenos Aires, and Americans are not Argentinians, and we do have good local rivalries, but none of them are in the same city, and there's just something really like deep and crazy and just, you know, enthralling about watching 2 teams from the same city play each other, that you know, I really don't think that you can get from like San Jose versus LA, even though that's a great rivalry, or Portland and Seattle, or you know what we're going to have with NYC and Red Bull, and
Yeah.
you know like or Dallas and Houston. You know, like yes, those are good local rivalries, and it's great, but you don't get that just kind of crazy like whose city is this thing that you can get when they're both in the same city and they're both in proximity to each other. And it's I've been thinking a lot about Chivas and just what a shame it is that hasn't quite worked out. And I mean, apparently an owner, nobody knows anything about it. It could just be a rumor. I don't know if it's been refuted, but there is an owner coming in, but it still sounds like they're taking next year off. And I really want that to work out. I really want that to be a really great derby in, whatever, 2020. Like, I think that could just be an amazing game.
Especially
but
if
whoever
they're
comes
not
in has to get it right. Right.
Yeah, if
right.
they're not in the same stadium and you've got that crosstown rivalry that both teams are actually, like you said, within what you would call the greater Los Angeles area, especially if LA too can get like the downtown stadium that everybody talks about, or something that really could kind of divide the city in half. Like, oh, you've got the people that are closer to Carson and what makes sense for them to commute, and then clear across the other side, you've got this other stadium with this second team, so that, like you said, you can get that feeling of whose city is this.
Yeah, that's, I really, it's an important thing, and it's something that that I think soccer, because there is such a culture of away visit, of away fans, and just all the things around it, like those games are really amazing in a way that I don't know, like I don't know anything about football, honestly, but like, are the Jets and Giants playing each other? Is that like a really crazy game? Like,
no.
Does it? No, it's just kind of like, oh yeah, that's who we're playing. And like in baseball, for a long time they divided the teams, so like the White Sox and the Reds and the Cubs would never play each other, and then finally they started to play each other, but it was kind of like the history was separated, and that's actually one, like, that could have been a great rivalry. You've got like the north side of Chicago, which has got the same kinds of dynamics that make River Boca really interesting, but it never quite took off.
The problem that you have in American sports is that all of the cities that have two teams in their greater area always split them between conferences or leagues.
Yeah.
So the Giants and the A's are not playing in the same league. The Mets and the Yankees are not playing in the same league. So it's like, yeah, there's that cool crosstown rivalry, but it doesn't mean as much because they're not fighting each other for that particular championship or conference title or whatever it is. And with soccer, and the way that our American MLS system is divided up geographically, the two LA teams are going to be in the same conference every time.
Yeah, and that's going to be, hopefully it's going to be great, because it has not been, but
and, you know what, I actually have hope for Red Bull in New York City. I think there is a chance that could turn into a serious rivalry, because you've got all these Red Bull fans that live in the city that are going to fucking switch. And that's going to be great.
I think it'll be good, but I think it won't quite have the same. Well, I don't know.
I don't know about that, because there's a lot of New York Red Bulls fans that already hate the New York City FC fans for siphoning off some of their fans, and just for existing as a counter, and for
getting
the New York City market first and better.
I'm not saying I don't think it'll be good, but I think that there'll be. I don't know. It's just, well, maybe I'm wrong. When I'm thinking about it, I'm like, oh, I bet that'll be interesting to watch, but I don't think it's going to be like heated. I don't think there's going to be like, there's not going to be like a geographical kind of thing, where like, the really fascinating derbies are always the ones where it's like different sides of a city, or different, the really spicy ones are like, this is the team for the middle class and this is the working class team. Like, those are the ones that go nuts. That's one of the reasons why River Boca is crazy. But I don't see New York and I don't see Red Bull and NYCFC like having different parts of the city or anything like that. I
Well,
just
here's
think
your
it'll still
homework
be
then,
good.
Josh.
Yeah, what?
Here's your homework. We're all responsible for poking the bear and feeding the trolls and fucking getting those two fan bases to hate each other.
Riled up. D-Roy Jenkins, man.
Riled that shit up.
D-Roy Jenkins, boy.
I haven't seen him much around, honestly, lately.
Oh, well, bummer.
I haven't been around as much lately.
Yeah.
It kills me.
So what is there any new news on Chivas? We were hoping to have Alicia on, and she obviously would be the best source for that, but in absence of her,
it's there.
Yeah, hopefully Alicia will be able to join us next week.
Okay.
They're going down, right? Chivas?
They're going down? You mean relegated? I don't know if you know this, Ian, but we don't do that.
No. It is actually kind of literally what's happening, though, isn't it?
Potentially.
Yeah.
There is discussion that they could, rather than just disband, because the thing is, it's now looking like it's legitimately going to be more like minimum 2 years. Like 1 year was like a cool idea, and now it's like probably 2, maybe more. Especially if you start talking about, are they going to be? It all comes down to how they're going to be treated. Are they treated as a brand new franchise? Are they treated as an expansion team because they lost all their players? So if they are, then you're looking at, 2017, we've got Atlanta coming in. And honestly, you probably have SAC, Minnesota, somebody else coming in 2017. Like, I wouldn't be shocked to see another 2 teams doing it. So have a 2015 expansion draft of 2 teams, a 2017 2-teamer already. So I could very much see, LA2 being pushed to 2018 or going down to USL Pro, trying to hang on to their players. Who fucking knows? It's crazy. Like, it's such a crazy situation that, we all talked about, like, it's going to be great, the league bottom, they're going to sell them off, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my god, nobody considered they'd shut down for 2 years. I never thought of that.
Yeah. No, I didn't either. The other thing is,
nuts.
So hey, what happens, so Chivas doesn't play next year, KC comes to the West?
Yeah, probably.
Dude, the fucking Western Conference is going to be brutal. Oh my god, it's already insane.
KC
and Houston.
Yeah, exactly. KC and Houston come over, so hopefully Houston continues their spiral down and they stay near the bottom. Because that's our trade-off. We eliminate Chivas and we add KC. That's fucked up.
That is fucked up. I know. I know. I'm telling you, you're not going to see a Supporter Shield winner coming out of the West.
Yeah.
For a while. There's no way, man. There's no way. Because all those teams will be taking so many points off of each other.
Well, here's the thing, though. Like, New York City and Orlando could be pretty good instantly, right?
No.
Yes.
I mean, they could not suck. They could make the playoffs, but I don't think
they could be wild card. Yeah.
I don't think they'll be on the level of Kansas City. The first year or two.
Maybe not, but maybe. I mean, all it takes is what? They're going to have all of
just
that.
Just like a really deep squad and, a team philosophy and all of that stuff right out of the gates.
Yeah, and Jason...
How hard can that be?
Jason Christ has been building that for the last year, though, right?
I know, but I still think that they're not going to be great the first year.
And Seattle was a title contender their first year.
Seattle got into the playoffs, but that was also, the league was smaller, and there was, they got into the play. I think they were third.
They took the coach that had won the double the year before.
Yeah.
Like, they took the double-winning coach and went off and did their thing. So Seattle definitely had a special circumstance that I don't think is a good way to...
Well, and New York City has a lot of money to play with. They already have 3 DPs coming in. They have one of the best coaches in MLS, top 5 MLS historical coach, and Jason Price. They're going to have, and with the new CBA coming, everyone's going to have money to play with, and New York City might be more willing to spend that than a lot of other teams.
Yeah. I'm not saying that I don't think they'll be good, but I think they'll be more of a Toronto right out of the bat than
Toronto's not even going to make the playoffs.
Well, I don't know. But Toronto also has 3 designated players, or had 3 designated players, or has 3 designated players. They had the fucking starting goalie for Brazil, and they still look at them. So I'm just saying, like, you can't, yes, NYCFC will have a lot of money, and I think they'll probably not suck, but I don't think they'll be, like, KC going to the West hurts teams in the West much more than NYC coming into the East hurts teams in the East. That's my only argument. And as a supporter of a team that, I'm guessing is probably going to continue to struggle to make the playoffs, adding yet another team that's going to be really, really good in there that will want one of those spots is like, shit. So, I don't know. Speaking of playoffs, Portland and San Jose are kicking off really soon, which has large implications for who gets the 5th spot. Portland and Vancouver seem to be having a very serious argument about which of them is the least shitty team in the West of the remaining teams who are not already in the playoffs. Colorado was in that for a second and then stopped being in it, and San Jose is out of it. So it's really just the two of them, like, trying to screw up the least. And actually, I really think Vancouver has looked the better team of those two.
But what's the schedule like? I mean, you're playing San Jose while they have to go to Seattle in a,
Yep.
That's I would put Portland. I mean, I know you're down by a point, so it's not like they're dead even. But
yeah,
I think this week might be the big swing. If you can go 2 points ahead with 2 games left, I don't know what your remaining schedule looks like.
Well, the remaining schedule is
You have to go play in Dallas.
Go play in Dallas and host RSL. And Vancouver's last 2 games are host Colorado, who, as I mentioned earlier on the podcast, don't give a shit about anything, and another game that's not a particularly hard game. I can't remember what it is. I mean, Vancouver definitely has a sweeter schedule going into it.
Wow.
Yeah. So we'll see. But, I mean, I don't think that either one of those teams... It seems like Vancouver kind of had Dallas's number, though, and that's who they would play in the first round. So if they got in, I think they'll go further. I could see Portland having to play that game with Dallas and dropping it.
Especially going into Dallas.
Yeah. I think Vancouver would do better going into Dallas, but I don't know. We'll see. Neither of them those two teams really have not distinguished themselves from they seem to have a lot of the same flaws. They score a lot of goals. They give up a lot of goals. They defend abysmally. They drop leads. Those two teams are very, very similar. Portland had its bad streak at the beginning of the year. Vancouver had theirs in the middle of the year. It's been kind of funny watching the two of them and going, these are like mirror images of each other, except with like wildly different expectations, because everybody in Portland, the beginning of the year, thought they were going to absolutely kill it, and everybody in Vancouver at the end of last year was like, I just hope we don't suck, and like looking at the two of them, they've wound up in the same place, and everybody's got much different takes on it.
I know you wanna go watch Portland. I know you want to get going. So real quick, who's gonna win the East? Who's gonna win the West? I'm sorry. Let me clarify. Who is going to play for the MLS Cup?
Oh, I mean, I really can't look past DC and LA.
Yeah. That's my pick too.
Yeah, I mean, LA is playing so well. I don't think that LA is like a much better team than Seattle, but I think LA's strengths are like LA's strengths play very, very well to Seattle's weaknesses, and Seattle's strengths also. I mean, I think Seattle can score quite a few goals against LA, but it seems like LA is so fast, and they really lately have just been rocking teams. And teams don't seem to quite know how to get back into games with them. So I mean that's my guess. But
and that's the big problem for us. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you think?
I have a hard time disagreeing. I feel like it's a very large possibility that Seattle could win the Shield either by a point or on tiebreakers, and then continue to repeat their playoff history, which is getting to host a game against LA which means starting in LA and going down to LA and doing so poorly that to come back and overcome will be a near impossibility, especially because we added away goals. We're going to go down to LA and lose 3-0, and then we could potentially come back and do the same, but it'll be 4-1 and LA will win.
Here's the thing about away goals. Been researching this.
I'm holding.
The away goals rule helps seeded teams in seeded competitions. The away goals rule does help the second host a lot.
Well, that is a generality, speaking of statistics, and not a Seattle team that has a history of being the host of a playoff game, a playoff set of games, and getting absolutely blown out in the road and not being able to overcome it. We did it 2011 was the best Sounders team until this year. We were primed to win the Cup. We looked very strong. We only lost the Shield by a point. We won the Open Cup. We were ready to make a run to the MLS Cup, and we got absolutely decimated in Salt Lake and couldn't do it at home. Again, same thing in LA. Multiple playoff series, go down there, get blown out, can't pull it back at home, and I could very much see us losing 3-0 and then coming home to win 4-1 and the away goal being the difference. You know, it's just maybe we won't get shut out. This team probably won't get shut out in LA, but I don't know. I could see us winning the Shield and losing to LA in the conference final. It's not what I want to happen, but it wouldn't be shocking. What about you, Ian? It's time to fire it off because I know we're all gonna go here.
Well, everyone else is picking LADC, and that's my pick too. But my secondary pick is LA New England.
Wow. Whoa. That is old
not even
school.
Seattle, New England, huh?
That's like some '97 shit there.
No, in '97 it was DC, Colorado.
Whatever, you know what I'm talking about.
In '96 it was DC, LA.
All right, fine. When was it that New England was? That was like '98 that they made it into the.
2005. New England.
That was it. I thought they made it at some point in the '90s. Well, hey, I've got to be honest. I didn't even live in this country in the 1990s. So
we made the MLS Cup from the East every year in the 90s.
All right. Oh, that's right, because that was before the salary cap actually existed for you guys.
Nonsense. All of that.
Yeah, the glory days. It's like you guys and then like Juventus fans who are like, yeah, we win all the time. It's like, yeah, I mean. Yeah, some of those wins are a little dodgy.
Hey, just because no one else could put together Marco Echeverri and Roy Lassiter and the entire '98 U.S. World Cup squad doesn't mean.
Yeah.
I may have missed listening to you prattle on about '98 DC.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, you know what? Oh my God, I totally opened the door for that one too. I should have shut up. Yeah, it wouldn't be a /MLS pod without a little
98 DC.
Yeah, with a little 98 DC in there. I'm gonna
get
you a T-shirt that just says, yeah, I'm gonna get Ian a T-shirt that just says 98 DC, or ask me about 98 DC.
It's gonna be good. All right, boys. Good to be back, huh? It was a good week. I'm glad we made it happen. Thank you, anybody that's still listening that came back after a month plus and saw that icon on their podcast application and was like, "Holy shit, those guys aren't dead."
Yeah.
I think we have a decent shot at putting another one out next week. We'll see how it goes. Thanks again, everybody, for listening.
Yeah, I'm excited. We can come back. You know, as a fan of a Portland-based team, I need my naps. But I'm awake now. We can do this.
Right.
Cool.
All right, go watch your
Great.
first.
All right.
Cool.